is first. Most of you have already gotten the info or met him if you worked here last year, but I wanted to introduce Diego, who's our new training supervisor. I'm super stoked to have some help running the training program. As those of you guys know, it's been a lot of stuff growing over the last couple of years, and I've gotten a lot of help from you guys and the other supervisors, but now Diego and I will actually have kind of a co-sharing thing this year. As he gets more comfortable, I'm going to hand him more stuff. But both of us are your direct resources if you guys want to talk about training or any of the PSIA pathway things, or if you want to send new hires our way so we can assist them in that as well. Diego, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself to everybody and just talk about why you took this job?
Hey guys. I think I'm just really excited to be part of training all the time. I think when I get to lead training or participate in training, my little inner nerd gets to come out, and just really excited to try to help facilitate your guys' jobs with training. I feel like for me, it's just going to add more tools to my basket, being able to observe how you guys perform. And one of my main goals still is to get my RMT, so I think this is really going to help me in that pursuit, and I'm just really excited to develop and learn and kind of help make your guys' job easier, hopefully.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego. We're super stoked you're here. And then we will have a actual rehire orientation and a town hall of some sorts. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I do want to introduce a couple of the new leadership team members that we had come on board this year, and I think they're in the room here. Christian Nation recently accepted a job as a training supervisor, as a adult ski supervisor, and Jackie Warner is coming to us from the Northwest, where she's been working at a few different resorts up there. She's taken a job as a kids supervisor on ski side. And then also Matt Rana comes to us from Loveland, and he's going to be helping out Christian with the snowboard program. They kind of have a adult and kids co-sharing thing as snowboard supervisors. So you'll see some friendly new faces, and we've got some returning supervisors that last year. The one person who unfortunately isn't going to come back as a supervisor this year, but we do hope he comes back in some capacity, is David Wilson. So we'll all miss him a lot, and hopefully we see him this winter, maybe just teaching with you guys. And then it's a pretty much same crew other than that. So those of you guys who are new or returning after a number of years, you might not know all the soups that we've had in the last few, but you'll get to know them really soon. Thing I always want to kick these off with is just kind of a expectations for our trainers teams. So, starting off with the things that we've talked about in the past, if you've been a part of the training squad here, which is the number one thing I want from people is to pursue your own professional development. And that means attending training regularly. It could mean going to PSIA events. It could mean expanding your knowledge into other areas that you think would just help you continue to move yourself into a higher level of knowledge and skill. And we're all at a different stage of our development with whatever we're looking at, but setting goals and finding ways to attain them, I think, is really good behavior that we all need to model. So I'd love for you guys to attend training regularly, even if it's just to support your fellow trainers. And I want you to make time to lead training. And if you're newer or you're just being invited to join the training staff for the first time, we'll give you guys some pathways to start doing that. And then in addition to those things, we want to add one more thing that's going to be a regular expectation of our training squad, and that's just to be a positive driver of the culture. So that is something where, this crew in general, the decades, and it's probably in 1,000 years of experience that we all have collectively, we have the power to do really, positive things, and kind of like a superhero could do a lot of good, or if they go the wrong way, we could do some damage. And that's where I really want to make sure that we're all trying to develop trust and trying to work out whatever kinks there might be, and the adversarial relationships that can sometimes exist. so that we can actually all get what we want to out of this, which is to have a great experience at ski school and be able to share our love of the sport with each other and our guests. For those of you guys who are brand new, I want you guys after this to start scheduling some one-on-ones with Diego and myself. You can reach out to us however you like, and we'll determine your own personal pathway for leading some clinics here. It may just start with a couple of things that you think bring value from your personal background, or you might participate in maybe helping out with some of the pod clinics or movement analysis things. And that's going to come along with writing some outlines and maybe having those outlines refined a little bit over time. So reach out to us when this is all done, and let's talk about how we get you guys involved this year. I want to give the floor to Tony real quick, and I'll actually stop sharing my screen and highlight him so you guys can see him. And I think if Kim Peterson's here, he's going to jump in right after Tony. And we just want to have a quick, chat before we go into the actual review preview about, just that positive culture drive that we're all going to aim for. Tony, you are on.
Cool. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you coming on Saturday. One of the reasons we asked Kim to come today is, we're having an emphasis this year, not just for the whole school, but throughout the management team on communication and positive communication. And we really want you guys to be a part of it. In my viewpoint, you guys are part of our leadership team, especially when you're out training our staff. So we want you guys to interact with us in a very positive and professional manner. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that you can't, let us know when things aren't going well. There's a difference. The difference for me between positive and negative communication, I'll give you an example of, hey, Tony, our new hire training is terrible. That's negative communication and is not helpful. I'm not really sure what to do with that. Positive communication would be, hey, Tony, I've got some ideas to make new hire training better. You want to listen, right? So we really do want you guys to be a part of solutions, but we also want you to come at it from an opportunity standpoint. The professional side of it is more about just being data-based, and Kim's going to go into that, coming to us with actual data helps us a lot. If you can say, hey, 3 out of my 4 new hires told me they weren't ready to teach after new hire training, that's data. If you come to us and say, hey, nobody knows what they're doing out there, that's drama. So we definitely want to change that culture. And we also want for you guys to feel like you can come to us and talk to us, and trust is key there. So if you're in a position where you don't trust management or me or whatever, we really would love for you guys to come and talk to us about that. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
Kim, if you're here, I'll spotlight you. I don't know if you have a good camera or not, or if you just want to talk, but I see your name in the room. Are you actually here?
I see him. He's muted.
Is he muted?
Got it.
There.
We're working this out.
Hey, it's sure good to see everybody. Thanks. Jacob and Tony and I are going to start off by having an out loud communication interchange between the 3 of us. And you might want to take notes, or if Jacob, if you can open the chat, people are welcome to write their comments. Jacob, first off, you thought I would take about 30 minutes. Is that still the case? Do you want me to take less or more, or what?
We've got some wiggle room, so if you want to take all 30, that's fine. We can keep it to maybe 20. Then I know we always go over question answers, but
all right, 20 minutes, maybe even including questions and answers. Then, So Jacob and Tony, if you can make sure that you're unmuted, I have a couple of questions, including the things that you just presented. And Diego, we might include you in a second. Let's start with Jacob. Jacob made what I think is a really important statement. He said, one of the things I want is your development. Could you tell us more about that, Jacob?
Yeah, my, I guess, personal value set, or something that I've, developed and adopted from other people who've been mentors to me, is, an effort to always be learning and growing, and especially trying to work on the sides of myself that are the weakest. And I need help doing that because I can't really know what those are just by myself. And I'd love for other people to share that.
Okay, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. You can bail on this at any point and go, yeah, I'm not going to answer that. But what if I'm coming to the meeting today or to training in general, and I say, I kind of like me the way I am. I'm not sure I want to change or grow.
I don't necessarily want to say that you shouldn't like you the way you are, but I would challenge your desire to not change or grow.
Yeah.
And I would ask why you wouldn't want to, and if you, think there was anything that you would actually want to be versus what you are right now.
Uh-huh. Maybe you could say something, Jacob, about the necessity to have this growth mindset. Why is that critical to Winter Park Ski and Ride School?
For me, it's about just being able to have the right modeling of behavior. And for the people who are new, we, in the ski and ride school business in general, there's a number of people who come in every year who've never been exposed to this before. And I think they can, really set their expectations within the first few days or weeks based on who they encounter.
Yeah, thank you. So Tony, you talked a little bit about positive communication. Could you give us another example, and could you talk about, just so we all understand what you mean by positive communication?
Another example, what would you like?
Yeah, give me another example, if you can, of what positive communication would look like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hey, Jacob, I have some great ideas about how level 3 training can be even better.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear them.
Hey, no role playing yet. No, okay. Yeah, go ahead and role play. Could you go on, Tony, with the idea of what professional communication is then? You said positive and professional communication.
Yeah, so professional communication, do you want an example again or just more information?
Either way, up to you.
Yeah, so professional communication to me is using data, being, looking for opportunity rather than fault. Yeah, I don't know. What else are you looking for, Kim?
No, it's actually what you're looking for, Tony.
Okay.
It's not me, but I think we should be pretty clear about those terms. Tony, can you give an example of positive communication that is not just based on, hey, I have an idea?
Yeah. Jacob, the new hires are doing really well this year. I've been watching their classes and I've been real impressed.
Awesome, thank you. So it's more than just, hey, I have an idea to change things. It also has something to do with really acknowledging successes and being open about successes, as well as being open to receiving and giving feedback. Did I encapsulate that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so one more, Tony. What if I don't have any data to give you? How do I communicate positively?
By just saying, I don't, this might be just my opinion.
Yeah.
However, this is something that I've observed.
Acknowledging, right?
Yeah.
And making my opinion, even if it's a singular opinion, I make my opinion the data by acknowledging, hey, this is my observation. This is something that I feel, and you are welcome to tell me that I'm the Lone Ranger, but here are the feelings that I have. Okay, back to Jacob. Jacob, you actually have what I would guess to be the hardest of the questions. Tell us about positive culture and how to be a driver of positive culture.
So I think this kind of goes to the concept that you can look at anything from two sides. You can see it negatively or positively. And when I tend to see things negatively, which can be my initial reaction sometimes, I've learned to check that. I've learned to give myself a minute and say, hold on, let me step back, or at least acknowledge that I could be wrong about my initial assumption. And when I'm talking about a driver of positive culture, it could just be when somebody else is expressing negativity towards me, saying, oh, this is the worst season ever. I would like to be able to say to them, I don't really think it is, and I want to know why you think it is before we get into a back and forth confirming each other and getting into groupthink. And I find that hard to do sometimes when I'm in a group of peers where we want to bond sometimes over our negative perception of things.
And complaints, I hear
Yeah.
in that. Yeah. Okay. So the idea of positive culture you're talking about is at least this idea of acknowledging the positive and maybe not joining in the negative, maybe letting the negative be what it is. And expressing it, but not joining and not cheerleading the negative in our communication.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
I've embraced a idea that it's easier to remember the things that are negatives. You know, I think there's some psychology takeaways from that where, you know, people don't remember the positives as much as they remember the negatives.
All right. Thank you. I think that's a great place to start. And we don't have time today to change our communication. We probably don't really have time today to do what you would say improve our communication, but we do have time today to establish some basic tenets, some basic foundations of how to promote a positive culture, how to identify and use data, and maybe how to, I heard this idea of supporting one another. So I'm going to give you a question, and we're going to take a full minute to think about this question. I tell students in college pretty regularly, think before you talk. And you get to reflect on this, all right? And then I'm going to call on some of you if that's all right. And I don't know if I'm going to call on people who can't unmute, but when I call on you, you're going to have to unmute. So you have 1 full minute to think about this. You may want to write it down, your initial response, and then you may want to groom your response and make it what you actually want to say. Here is the first question. What would improve if other people in the organization changed their communication? What would improve if other people changed their communication? Now in chat, if you go up to the top and you look at the chat, I will write each of these questions so you can look at them. All right. Minute's a long time with no sound, right? You guys can bail or pass. You could call on somebody else. You could say, I want them to respond, or you can respond. Let's start with, how about Diane? You have to unmute. Unmute your microphone.
Is that it?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, so if someone was always negative and they decided to change their attitude to more positive, then you could open conversations and change the whole culture of the organization.
Thank you. Diane has hit on two really important points. If other people change their communication, it's quite positive that I, Diane, would feel like we had more open communication.
Right.
Yeah, also, if we want to enact, if we want to change culture, communication is the foremost method, the most important method of changing culture. Diane, do you want to say anything else?
Oh, no, I think I've said enough.
Oh, okay, all right. Then you should mute again. And let's go with David Summit then. Can you unmute, David?
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi. So right when Diane started talking, my internet decided to go on hold. So I actually did not hear what she said. But can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think,
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I guess if everybody started communicating differently, the first thing that comes to my mind is that every single department at the resort would probably work together a lot better, which would create a better resort all around. So that's kind of the first thing that came to mind. You know, and even within our, I guess even within our silos, you know, there's definitely a little bit of separation between kids and adults and privates. Even though I think last year and even the year before, because of people going into the different silos, it has helped a lot. But I think different communication there would also make that smoother, which would also make us a better ski school. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Excellent, thank you. If other people change their communication, operations would work more smoothly. Did I encapsulate that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. All right, how about Jeff? Can you unmute, Jeff? On mine, it's up at the top. Okay, yeah. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm just hoping we won't get feedback because my wife's sitting on the other side of the room. You know, I think both David and Diane kind of covered where I was thinking there, because if we can communicate different, I think we're going to have a better understanding of what, you know, within our own departments, what our supervisors are trying to convey to us, but also what's going on in the other departments. And maybe understand the reasons for changes when we have changed policies, because a lot of people have been around for a long time and they have a tough time with change. And sometimes they don't exactly understand quite the reason why those changes may have been brought on, because we don't always communicate real well sometimes. And this goes with a lot of, you know, just the way that sometimes the way things are run day to day. Being as a former supervisor, I remember when things changed, having instructors ask me, well, it's always been this way, what's going on? And we never really understood that. So
yeah,
I think
if I hear what you're saying, Jeff, you're saying that if other people changed their communication, we would feel more like a team, more like we are cooperating with each other. And it's important that you highlighted this idea that when changes were made, we would understand why the changes were made. And we can come back to that during the season, talking about these justifiable changes and understanding reasons behind it. Okay, I wish we had time to do that really with each of you. One of the approaches that we're going to use when we look at communication is this idea of othering communication. I'm going to write that in the chat because it's hard to hear. Othering communication is really a form of organizational blame, where the responsibility to communicate well or to communicate how I want doesn't rest with me. It rests with somebody else or something else in the communication or in the department. So looks like I only have about a minute left. So the initial foundation I invite us to consider is that same question, only asked differently. So I'm going to type it in the chat, and I don't know that we have time to hear some responses, but what happens if we look at communication this way? Take a full minute and think about that question in the Winter Park Ski and Ride School.
I'm on the phone. Can you just read what the question is? Because I'm not seeing the screen.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. Yeah, the new question is, what would improve if I changed my communication? Sort of not the opposite, but maybe the complement to the question we asked before. So we probably only have time for one answer, but Diego, do you mind unmuting? And in an act of pure vulnerability, what would change in the organization if you changed your communication? What would improve if you changed your communication?
I feel like I just keep going back to the word relationships. You know, my relationships with my superiors, my coworkers, team members, and other departments. It's that relationship piece, and I think people would not only listen to what I have to say, but they would respect the way it was said.
Well done, Diego. Thank you. So important that we recognize that our relationships are communication based, plain and simple. You have relationships because of communication, plain and simple. And I don't know if those are negative or positive in all of our minds, but the relationship is a function of communication. So it's my intent really today just to have introduced that idea and to offer an invitation that you think, instead of me or somebody telling you, or instead of finding some sort of instrument to measure the way you communicate, think about the improvements that you would like to make in your communication, recognizing that communication serves two functions. Sometimes we are senders of messages, sometimes we are receivers of messages, and communication has to use both of those parts of communication. So I'll just leave you with this idea: that if we each take responsibility for our sending and receiving, things will change. I suggest that they're going to change for the positive. To the degree to which we blame others or we do this othering communication, we have no capacity to make a change. We've surrendered all of our power to make a change as long as we assign it to somebody else. Jacob, did you want to? Did you want me to end there? Do you have something more you want me to do?
Not at the moment, but I am going to just let everybody know that, I'm working on a schedule that Kim can be available to us, whether it's in person or over the internet, doing some of these types of trainings. And we're going to definitely have him back just to be able to help us with this throughout the season. So trainers, there's going to be some specific clinics that happen throughout the season where he's going to support us in our ability to do things like communicate certification standards, invite more people to our clinics and kind of solicit ourselves and be able to create more of a following, if that's what we want for ourselves with participants. And then for supervisors as well as instructors on our staff, I have a goal of making Kim more of a resource than he's been in the past. So thank you so much for joining us, Kim. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me be part. I love to play at Winter Park.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And stick around with us, Kim, through the rest of this. And we can chat afterwards so you can give me some feedback on how we've done today. So thanks everybody for going through that little exercise. Kim always makes me feel awkward and then great at the end. And I hope you did.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I guess we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump back into just the review stuff, and I have about 20 minutes here, and then we'll have a short break before we get into the preview of everything. And like I said, there's some buffer time for us to go over, so we'll have plenty of time for some question and answer. And I can open up some of that if people are questioning anything in the review and want to chat about anything from previous seasons. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Somebody give me a thumbs up on their screen that you guys can see my training review there. So great. So number one, I'm super biased in this opinion, but I think we have one of the best training programs in the world. And I think I can try my best to prove it and demonstrate it with some data. So some of the things that we've pulled out from just last season is, just nice big number. Total training hours last season was about 6,400 hours that our instructors put in. This was pretty similar to what we had going on in the 18-19 season, when that was the last fully normal season, you could call it, which we really hope this season is a return to that style of business and the amount of guests we're hoping for, and as well, I hope we get the amount of staff we're looking for. This was down about 1,400 hours from the 19-20 season, and that was mainly due to some of the cuts we made in professional development training. The pod training was definitely a big addition and a huge improvement, but we cut out a lot of things like morning clinics, indoor MA sessions, and the amount of professional development things, the a la carte training, so to speak. So that hopefully is something we see improve this year. Average instructor training hours was 19.6, per person in our ski school, and that was actually slightly up. So we had less staff than we've had for a while last year, and more of them trained than ever. And this is actually considering that we shortened our new hire academy from 4 full days to include 4 half days and some online modules. So a lot of that was due to the pod clinics as well. I just quickly, before we got here, threw together as best I could. I had to go through the data and really sift through it. Sorry if you're on a tiny screen, but basically the average attendance by clinic hour, by certification, average hours by certification in clinics is shown right here. And, the people who are uncertified, which is mostly new people, there's definitely returners who don't have certifications, but they only occupy about 11% of that pie. And then the people who are level 1 certified, and that is by the end of the season, this is counting people who got certified last year, occupied 25% almost. It was like 24.9. The level 2s are 14% of our training time, and the level 3s are 20%. And then people who had their RMTs or another quarter of that. And we also had a number of our education staff members. And the slice of this pie, if you're represented by the amount of people who are certified in these things, we have very few RMTs and very few ed staff. We are quite a highly full certified level 3 ski school, but the level 2s is where we probably have the biggest discrepancy. So it's just something to look at as we talk about what our goals are in the preview. Moving ahead, one of the things that we are looking for here is some ability to say that training has an impact. And the impact that I love to see is on the employee experience. So there's one particular question that gets asked every year, which is, I have the training I need to do my job effectively. And this has been pretty stable for the last 3 years. It's gone up just 1 point from 17-18 to 18-19, and then down 1 point from last year. But 81% of our staff feels that they have the training they need to do their jobs. Another 8% are in that kind of meh, I think it's working, not really sure how to tell. And 11% are saying that they need more from us. I haven't broken specifically into that to see who's saying what. But when I do look at it, the kids ski, adult ski, and snowboard are kind of the 3 business units that participate the most in that survey. So that data is probably the most relevant. And so, the snowboarders actually seem to be happiest with the training. I will add here that they were the smallest participating group, not just by total number, but by proportion. So we want to see more of them answer that survey next year. Generally, when people are not participating in a survey, that is going to bring the numbers down. The negatives seem to stand out. So I was surprised to see that. And then adult ski and kids ski are solid around that 81. So that's, kind of representative of how that question gets answered. And I think that's just, kudos to all you guys who are helping out with our training program, because that's a direct reflection of what you do out there every day, whether it's new hire training or the pods or just leading those impromptu clinics. So some great stats that I wanted to share with you guys is this is just the amount of people who attained a new certification. Differences between our 1920 season when we had to shut down for COVID, which I'm sure would have been a little bit better. People weren't able to take those end of season exams versus the 2021 season last year. And you can obviously see that we had a huge change from level 1, the amount of people who got certified for the first time between those 2 seasons. And that, I think, is just majorly driven by our pod training. And then level 2, a few people got certified last year, 1 less than the year before. We didn't have anybody go for it, I guess, or maybe someone went for it, but nobody was successful in getting their level 3 last year. But I also love to see that, the child specialist, which is an indication that people are moving towards that level 2 or just wanting to develop themselves to teach children better. That was also a really popular thing that we ended up supporting really well with our training. And of course, we've added some RMTs and some CS2s last year, and I love to see that, growing there. So 84 new certifications were earned last year. That's compared to just, I think, 45 the year before, so we almost doubled. 66 people were, getting financial support, and that could be their scholarship or their reimbursement. And that's just something that I want to continue to have you guys help me promote is our amazing program of helping people pay for these exams as well as helping them train for these exams. So just to kind of get that out front right now, everybody here, so if you have questions about this, please reach out to Diego, myself, the supervisors. I hope we all can speak to, not just the value of the program, but how to navigate it. But our scholarship program is distinct in that it is for new instructors, or I'll also add uncertified instructors if someone's lapsed in certification, and we will pay for them upfront to take their level 1 exam. They are still on the hook for their membership dues, but I think we can explain to them the value of those dues and just, hey, if you buy one thing on Proform or the access to the teaching resources PSI gives you. The reimbursement program is for you guys mostly. Everybody in this room pretty much could take advantage of this. Because you guys are certified already, and if you want to go for any exam, we will basically pay for that after you've taken it, and we'll do it within the same season. This is much different than what you see at other resorts, although I hope they're feeling the pressure and maybe competing with us and raising their standards here. But We pay if somebody passes or fails because we see value in people just going to take that level of certification and training towards it. We pay them back within the current season, and this is turned from a paycheck that has to come from corporate that might have taken 6 to 8 weeks to a direct deposit, and our HR department is really, really good at helping us with this. And it is a percentage that we will pay you back. But if you're a full-timer, we will pay you 100% back, pass or fail in the same season. Part-timers will get paid a percentage, and that goes based on their commitment level, between 25 and 75% back for those exams. And we all know those exams have gotten a lot more expensive lately. And then just a quick view at how much money we have paid out. I believe PSIA National spends about $20,000 in scholarships every year, and we have more in our budget to help our instructors. And I always ask people to apply for both. But in total, we spent about $18,000 both 1920 and the 2021 season. And last season we had some uptick in the reimbursements and a little bit of a decline in the scholarships. To answer Cody's question, I know he's got it in the back of his head. Yes, there's money left over at the end of the season. And in the past, we have decided that we're not going to do anything with that, but encourage other people to try to take advantage of it. After speaking with Richard a little bit this year, I've decided that when we get to the end of the period at which people can basically register for this and apply for the money that we have available, if we have any left over, I will open it up for people to apply for a second reimbursement or a second scholarship. And that'll happen sometime in March. Going on there, just to give you guys, kind of a quick rundown of things. Our certification pod training has been super successful, and I'm super proud of all the people who led pods last year for the first time without much preparation themselves. And you guys this year will definitely get some more opportunities to train before you train those participants. We've already had a ton of interest, and I know we're going to have a ton more. I have a really good problem in front of me, which is I have more people who want to train for level 2 than I have trainers to actually lead those pods right now. So I'm going to be doing my best to try to figure out how we still get those people what they want. But I see that our interest in the certification pod program is going to grow and be 20 to 30% more than what it was last year. The team slides, those were opportunities that replaced the morning training last year that trainers used to lead. And we're going to keep going with team slides because it's a really great way for supervisors and the rest of our leadership team just to engage with people that we might not otherwise see outside on the snow, and to do it in a really informal way. Just have fun skiing and snowboarding with them. So those will continue. Impromptu training, we did more of that last year than we've almost ever done before, and that is when you guys and your trainings, your supervisors agree that, hey, it's a slow day, or we've got a group of people here who want to go out and do this, or I have some specific goals as a supervisor for what I want my staff to develop in, and they send you out that day on a half-day clinic or a full-day clinic sometimes. And I really encourage you guys as trainers to solicit yourselves to your supervisors and say, I'm here to help you, and I want to lead this type of training, and allow them to use you as that resource. The e-learning stuff, which we were forced into in the COVID years, has actually become something that I think a lot of us enjoy, as long as it's administered in the right way. Having the opportunity to learn online and train at your own pace is something that is a new learning style almost, and we're going to continue doing some of that. And also thanks to everybody who led the video movement analysis sessions last year, because that was also something we were all getting used to, and you can see how good we are now at using video for these types of meetings. But that was something that I also think we continue this year, in addition to hopefully bringing back what some people really enjoy, which is the in-person movement analysis stuff. So before we take a quick break, is there any questions about last season or things that you want to reflect back on? And then we're going to do a little break and kind of a self-reflection exercise before we get into the preview. If you guys are typing in the chat, feel free to type questions, or if you are muted, unmute yourself and you can ask a question. If not, then I'll just take it as I presented the last year stuff well.
Jacob?
Yes, Kate.
would there be an opportunity to like integrate some 8 a.m. clinics into the team slides, or like take a, not necessarily do it as separately, in part because some people do want some just quick tips on how to do it, like whatever it is on a powder day or whatever that is, but also because it's great practice for us.
Absolutely. And I just didn't want to get ahead of myself into Diego's preview, but it was hard not to say, oh, this is what we did last year and this is what we're going to do this year. But 100% I've talked to you and a couple other trainers about that being something you guys value. And I think just to say why we did what we did last year, it wasn't just because of COVID, but there's a number of people who would attend morning clinics, and their focus and expectations was to just ski and not to train. And I want to separate that. I want to offer two different opportunities, and to give you guys some opportunities to lead training. And then also, if people just want to slide around and go see how good Tony is at skiing bumps, they can do that too. So we're going to try to do both this year. Anybody else got any questions or reflections about last season? So, and I realize not everybody's going to be able to do this exercise with us, so I will also allow you to write this down or just to think about it. But I'd love for anybody who can to go ahead and follow this link that I'm going to pop into the chat. And I want you guys to take some time. We've got 10 minutes. We'll take a little bit of a break, so we'll come back at about 5 after 2. And this is so you can actually focus a little bit on what things you need from us, and also what things you can do yourself in order to pursue your professional development and meet your goals for this season, whatever they might be. And also so Diego and myself can get some insights into what we can do to support you in that. So this is just a quick form, and I'll also maybe email this out to the entire participant group afterwards. But for those of you guys just listening in on the phone, and if you don't have a piece of paper, then you'll have to remember these 4 in your head. I'd like you to list at least 1, but possibly up to 3 professional goals that you have for this season. And these can be a piece of the big goal that you have. If your big goal is, to make $100,000 in tips, then maybe you have to say, I'm going to make $5,000 this year and $10,000 next year. The next question is, what resources or what support do you need from us as your training staff and as your leadership team to help you pursue that goal? And if it's just, how can we not stand in your way, then that's fine. But, if there's anything we can do to actually assist you and support you, we want to know. The next question is, what's something that you can do on your own to pursue this goal? Maybe it's something you are not already doing, or maybe it's something you can, do a little bit more that would help you on your pathway to attain what you want. And the last question, and this one, of course, think about it. How can you specifically bring value to the training program at the ski school here? What is it that you're good at, or what is it that you, being a trainer and being engaged with our new hires or our rehires, can do to keep driving us towards that place we all want to be, which is we all want to have a better time at work. We all want to make more money. We all want to get certifications, I hope, and just enjoy skiing and snowboarding with each other. So consider those 4 questions for me, and then let's come back in 10 minutes. I'm not going to close down the meeting here or anything like that, but feel free to turn your cameras off or move away from the screen, and I'll see you guys all at 2:05. All right, yo. Feel free to keep finishing that up if you're almost done with it, or put it on hold for now. Going to get back to our little slideshow here, and we're going to get into the preview. So I'm going to give Diego the floor. I'm also going to try to share the PowerPoint in a slightly different way, because I'm learning on the fly. So. So bear with me as I get us to the right spot that we were at before. Cool. Here we go. Is everybody seeing the slideshow on their screen? Is anybody not?
Yeah, it looks good, Jake. I even have the option to navigate back and forth a little bit too.
Hey, that's good. Hopefully no one else does. Sweet. So Diego, take it away and tell us what we can expect out of this season.
Cool. Again, guys, welcome back, and really excited about this season, where we're gonna be able to move forward here with some training. So, first off, there's just a lot of questions in regards to vaccine mandates and what's going on with all that, and how we're gonna, move forward with these mandates. We need to realize that, this COVID vaccine is, life-saving thing, and we need to continue encouraging staff to do it. It sounds like we're going to have a deadline of December 10th to get vaccinated by, so keep that in mind. Sorry, Jake, I'm just trying to find my agenda here. Cool. So yeah, we're also going with the vaccine mandate. We're going to be able to return to indoor MA clinics. So woohoo! That'll be pretty good. If the groups are too big, we're still going to ask that the attendees wear a mask, but the presenter probably won't have to. But in most of these small case scenarios, we'll be able to do it indoors without too much to worry about there. Yeah. We got, sorry, I'm just trying to navigate here. Cool. So what's coming back? We got team slides coming back every day. We've already discussed it with the supervisors, who's covering what days, who's back up on the other days and whatnot. So we're very excited to bring back those team slides in full force. The AM Pro Development Clinics, like Jacob was mentioning, we're gonna have the option of both. So if people just want to ski, they go to the team slide. If they want to learn something, they're gonna have that option as well. Rehire gonna be on the snow. We've got those, classic topics that we had with the kids teaching tactics, starts, splits, and wrap-ups, class management, and terrain advancement. Again, indoor training and lesson debriefs at the end of the day. New Hire Academy. We're gonna have some earlier rounds that are before Thanksgiving, some later rounds after January. Right now we've got 4 snowboard training rounds that got trainers decided on. We've got up to 7 rounds of ski and potentially add more if we have to. There's going to be a MA module that's part of training now, where we're going to discuss, some MA and actually get them some reps at doing that. And then after the holidays, we're going to follow up
Hey Diego, we got a feedback.
That's me. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I heard it for a second. Everybody good now? Rehire training. We're gonna have the online stuff available, and they can really tackle that. I think the RISE training has really improved how we can come back into the season and come back focused. We'll have this town hall on Saturday the 20th. Tony kind of discussing what's going on this year. And then in the rehire training, they're going to have those on snow 8 to 9 clinics where they're doing those small topics. Again, start, splits, wrap ups, class management, terrain advancement, kids teaching tactics. Those are the main points of discussion there. Cert pods and prep camps, as Jacob highlighted, incredible success of cert pods last year. We're really looking forward to bringing those back, and we've already been in contact with you in regards to your availability for those. And thank you all for doing that. Pro development topics. So here's kind of like a list of our current pro development topics. Feel free to kind of look them over and start to consider what you guys would add to this list as a pro development topic. Yeah, think about these pro development topics as how we want them presented, right? We need an outline, the objective that you're trying to achieve, and potential dates. Can't see the list. Oh yeah, so with the list, again, it's just kind of this, sorry about that. Cool. Sorry, Jacob, I'm having a technical issue with my Teams here.
It's all right. They should be able to see it. I don't know why Dion can't. It's just a part of the slide. But for anybody who can't see it, or if you're on the phone, these are going to include some things that are a little more standard, like intro to moguls, advanced moguls, park, trees, carving, ski and snowboard related. Then we have things that are a little bit more in terms of helping instructors do a better job, like Family Private 101. Jenny and I have talked about, some of the things that would have improved last year, having people more able to take family privates, and that's one of the hard things that also we sell a lot of. So we have a series that we might do there, how to handle behavioral issues, how to sell more privates. Everybody wants to know from those people who sell a lot how they do it, choosing the right gear, how to make lessons more fun. We've got things like, teaching specific women's lessons, toddlers, teenagers, how to read the terrain, things that are a little more free ride oriented, like air awareness, drop theory, grabs and taps. And then we also have some, things about gear maintenance, repair, and we want to put out some women's only clinics just to support the women who are here and get them to more create that community with each other. And we are looking for, you guys to come up with ideas that would officially double this list. And the format of those things can also be on the snow, but online or indoors, or a hybrid of those things. So we really do want you guys to think about how you can come up with your own topic and bring value to the training program. And if it's a really popular thing, we'll pay you to do a lot of them.
Thanks, Jacob. So our goals are that, you guys need to recognize how awesome you guys already are. So let's keep that up. Let's keep finding ways of improving and modeling that behavior that we want. We're really, really focused on trying to broaden this training to the people that generally don't go, which is really part-timers, new hires, and unfortunately snowboarders. Really thinking about that young demographic too, like the young 20-year-olds, like mid 20-year-olds. We really have to be able to kind of relate with them, and sometimes they see our level as a trainer and they feel like it's unattainable to get to that because it took you so long to do it or whatever. And I think it's our job to encourage how actually attainable it is. We want to cut the uncertified instructor rate by 20%. It's a big goal. But I think just with us really trying to encourage more impromptus and having all these different options for training available, that we'll definitely be able to achieve that. Yeah, obviously we want more 2s and 3s so we have more flexibility on the high end of things. And yeah, I think as Jacob pointed out, we're going to kind of go through fluxes. Some years, maybe a lot of people are just getting like the specialists that they need to get to the next stuff the following year. So maybe with that big uptick in CS1s that we saw, maybe we'll see that big uptick in level 2s this year, especially since we have 19 people signed up for level 2 training pods on Tuesdays. So that's just pretty impressive. Long term, we really want to attract like people that are really good at this job and retain them. I think we're great examples, all of us on this call, of how you can make a career out of this. And as long as people have the ability of interacting with other people in a positive way, they could be a very good instructor. All that we talked about, positive communication, is what we teach our instructors to do in their lesson. We just need to act it out more ourselves. So in this, I really wanted to open it up if you guys had any questions as to what's coming up this year. I know Kate mentioned about like the team slides versus the clinics in the morning. We're going to do both. So does anybody else have any questions?
I'll just read some of the questions that came off there too. And Kate was just asking if we can ensure the TV, upstairs or the one that's in the locker room will play off any video or any computer. We are still slightly challenged with that. We bought a Roku this year because we were like, oh, that's so great because everybody can share from their phone. And then, of course, I wasn't thinking IT is not cool with that. So we have some privacy issues. And of course, that's how the hackers get in, apparently, is through those types of devices. What I am continuing to work on is seeing if we can get some dedicated workstations, computers that could be located near the TVs. Or if we can get back to, being able to have a training laptop that can sort of float around. But I will say, I'm very grateful for the trainers who use their own devices and have their own, particular ways of managing around these challenges. And before, anybody else asks any questions, I just want to add on to one of the last things we said there in terms of attracting and retaining talent. We did have a goal last year of, not just having a great training program, but also promoting it. So it is now a part of the job descriptions for the uncertified and certified instructors. And it does have some verbiage specific to a training program and a financial support program. And I've interviewed a few people who've asked about that specifically because they don't know what it means and they want to know more. So that's the type of thing that I hope doesn't just happen by word of mouth, but we can actually really market it. What other questions or comments or advice do you guys have for Diego and I as we try to go into the season and plan out how to make this training program even better?
I would just like to reiterate on what a good epiphany I just got out of Kim and what he said with positive communication. And it is like this relationships thing. And, it's not just work relationships. Like, I feel like I communicate very well in a professional setting. And then I come home sometimes and I need to be able to continue that positive communication with my wife and making sure that, we're always communicating positively for the health of our relationship. So think about how that trickles down to everything. And when we have negativity, I want you guys to all be like Teflon. You know what I mean? You got some sources of negativity where it's just pouring out of somebody, and you've got people that collect all that negativity. And I don't want you to be either. I want you guys to be Teflon, let that stuff slide off. And I'm really looking forward to this season with you guys.
I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat here, and I think everybody has this in multiple ways already. Hopefully, it's at the bottom of our email signatures. So if you want to reach out to Diego, this is his email address, and then also in the bottoms of all of our email signatures, we should have, and if we don't have it, we will get it, but we should also have a link for you guys to set up a meeting with us, which is done through that system that you might have been using last year, which was called Calendly. Diego, if you have yours, I'm gonna try to drop yours in there, but I can't find it in some of the emails you've sent recently. And you know, my email address, you guys all should have that, but I'll drop it in here as well. I'm also going to just put out a little bit of a call to action. So we reiterated a couple times. We really want you guys to be thinking about what types of training you want to see, what types of training you want to lead possibly. And we're going to ask you guys to send that information our way and outline it a little bit. And then we'll have discussions on how we can create the format that you would like and when we can put it on. Ideally, you can tell us if it's going to be on a certain date and a certain duration. And if you need any specific resources, you know, like video or something like that to support you in that. And then I'd also like you to sign up for your PSIA events. If you have any things that are in those goals that you want to do this year in terms of PSIA, let me know if you need any help there. But get started on signing up for those things. If there's nothing on the calendar that you see that you'd like to attend, or if it's not close enough, let's start the conversation, the dialogue on how to maybe get more people to you know, take the same exam or the same accreditation, and we can request a traveling clinic here for that. And then for those of you who have been participating in our training already or are a current trainer, you would know because we've told you. I'm going to drop the link again to this trainer's availability survey. This is something that's really helpful to Diego and I because it will help us know when you're available for what. So go ahead, and if you haven't filled that out already, please fill that out here. You already got some emails from me, and I might just come hunt you down. And for those of you who are new to the training staff or coming back after a hiatus, or are a level 2 maybe who's, you know, kind of wondering why we invited you to this training meeting because you haven't led any training yet, we'd like you to reach out to Diego or myself and set up some one-on-one time. So we can actually talk about your pathway and what sorts of support and resources you do need, so you can start sharing, you know, what you're great at. I see Cody's got his hand up, so I'll ask him to, you know, ask his question or comment, and then if anybody else has any, we've got plenty of time. Cody, what's up?
Yeah, with the vaccine mandate that we have in place right now, do we have any kind of like clarity about if you need to have your booster? Because I know that boosters are now starting to come out and being kind of encouraged at this point, or are we just doing the single Johnson & Johnson or the double of the Moderna or Pfizer? What's the deal with that?
My understanding is that the booster is not yet being counted as like being vaccinated. So fully vaccinated means that you've had either your 2 shots of Moderna or Pfizer or your 1 J&J. I will also share the email that Sky sent out if anybody likes to see that, and then you can read it for yourself. We're going to try our best to make sure we can express these things really clearly in the RISE REO and at the town hall as well. But at the moment, it just means that by December 10th, you need to be fully vaccinated, or you need to continue to wear a mask until you are. And if you're having any issues with that, any challenges in the timeline of getting vaccinated, just talk to us. Come see Tony or myself, and we'll definitely figure out how we can work with you on that until you are able to be fully vaccinated.
I'll just add
John,
something there, Jacob.
Yeah,
So all the COVID rules are fluid, right? So things could change. If numbers go way down, things could change. And if the CDC comes out and says that in order to be considered fully vaccinated, you need a booster shot, then our rules might change. So those are the kind of details, Cody, that we're still waiting on from Altera and from our senior leadership team. But we will communicate that as soon as humanly possible.
Thanks, yeah. John Naughton, you got your hand up, and then Jenny.
Yeah, thanks, and I'll try and take my hand down so it doesn't stay up. This was just more of a question that came up just as we were chatting about how to retain instructors, especially, you know, those first-year instructors, get them more involved. And in the past, you know, we've kind of had like you know, groups that were reporting to the supervisors, so everybody had a contact of a supervisor to go to chat with. Would it be the good idea to do the same with the trainers, particularly for our first year instructors, have somebody they can go to ask about training or questions, you know, kind of a mentor?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons that I think we've adjusted to the new hire training the format we currently have, where you're with the same group for most of those days. What we can't do, and you could do this if you wanted to, any of you trainers, this is outside the scope of your employment, is we can't share your contact details with them. We can't direct them to reach out to you on your personal phone or your email if they have those questions. But we definitely will encourage them and put the expectation out there that these people who you're going to be training with are mentors for you, and not just the person who led you in New Hire Academy, but any of the trainers that you interact with and see, any of the supervisors, and just flat out any of the good instructors you come across. We want to continue to enhance that culture of people looking for mentors and that kind of copy, choose, create. So you can give that information to your guests, John. I know you did last year, to your participants. Jenny,
yeah, great. No, that was my thing.
Hey, all you beautiful people, welcome back. Hey, I just went to City Market this morning to try to get my Moderna booster. You have to be over 65 to get that. But then I asked them again, I say, hey, I work with the ski and ride school and I work with kids and stuff. And they said, well, then you're eligible. So that was kind of an official thing. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, and the governor has said that he doesn't care if you're eligible or not, just go get it. So we'll see how that all goes. But
well, I don't think if I had said that this morning that they would have given it to me. So anyway,
yeah.
Just saying. Cool. And Dan O'Connell, welcome back. I'm glad we had that conversation this summer. That's awesome.
I'm not sure if am I muted? Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jim.
So Jacob, there's some questions in the chat as well about giveaways for clinics to try to, and this is something that, Jacob really loves giving stuff away. And sometimes Jacob and I disagree because I don't like, one of our values is sustainability. So we don't like giving away things that are just going to end up, in the garbage or whatever. But we have gotten $3,000 worth of donations from Dakine. So we're getting gloves and backpacks and glove liners and stuff like that. So those kinds of things that are really useful for people's jobs, would be probably the things that we might give away and stuff like that. So, that's a great idea. And yeah, we could certainly do stuff like that, or gift cards or things like that people will find useful, rather than the ice scrapers that I tried giving away for 3 years.
So if there's no more questions or comments right now, and I see a few good comments in here, and I'm going to definitely have those written down. We can call it a day. I just want to throw out there, anybody who is right here on the chat with us and has not yet accepted their job offer, please do that right away so we can pay you for attending today. I want to thank Kim Peterson for joining us and helping us out with the quick kickoff to what I hope is a continued topic this year, and something we can actually put some measurements to at the end of the season. And also to the leadership team who came in to join us on Saturday, and just all of you guys who took time out of your weekend to jump in here. I'd love you guys to keep the conversation going and just the ideas coming. I will be, and Diego will be, reaching out to a lot of you guys over the next couple of weeks. One of the things that we do need is to create some curriculums for the pod trainers, and also to kind of make sure we have a really good outline for our new hire trainers. So myself, Diego, and some of the other ed staff trainers and RMTs are going to be working on that starting on the 13th. And then there's actual clinics for those of you who are going to be leading pods that you can join to feel a little bit more comfortable going into the pod training, and you'll also be equipped with a curriculum there. The final thing is just look out for our RISE REO that comes out on the 13th, and go ahead and take that and ask questions through that as well. We'll send out a little more information on how the town hall is going to run, but we are going to do a hybrid format. And those of you who can attend in person, we're going to welcome up to 50 people. It's going to include some of our leadership team, so probably around 35 to 40 of our staff, instructors and trainers can join us in the room, and the rest will be doing it live for them to watch, and we'll record it so people who couldn't be there can view it later. We're gonna call it a day right now, and I just want to say I think this was really great. Thanks for everybody helping me manage our time, and I really am stoked to see that 200 something inches come our way for snow, so that once we dig out, we can be open. Any parting words, Diego or Tony?
Yeah, I just really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Kim. That was really good for me as well. And yeah, just, you know, I'm really inspired by your guys' pursuit of continuing to make our ski school better, and I'm really excited.
Thanks everybody for being here, and if you have any questions, you know, reach out.
Awesome. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.
You guys too.
Thanks.
Thank you.